On this episode of Death by Adulting, what real men and real women have in common with your mother. How to make a doctor's appointment. Next, how FOMO, fear of missing out, is ruining our social lives. Our top rules to help declutter life, followed by Megan's best advice for how not to stress out about your next family get-together. Then, an absolutely new segment, Everything I Need to Know in Life I Learned from the Princess Bride. Finally, Megan's boss adulting tip of the day, plus much more. Roll the intro.
I wish that I knew what I know now when I was younger.
Don't you wish you could know for sure that the decisions you're making today would turn out okay tomorrow? Well, welcome to Death by Adulting. I'm your host, Megan Scheibner, with my co-host, Dr. Steve Scheibner. You can think of us as your on-demand old farts. You know, when it comes to adulting, it doesn't matter if it's dating, marriage, parenting, finances, communication, or even sex. You don't have to like it. You just have to do it. And if you just have to do it, why not do it well? That's what we're here for, to help you make decisions today that you'll be happy about tomorrow. Well, here we are, episode 10 of Death by Adulting. And in our last episode, we talked about how making phone calls is one of those nagging little stresses that really is unavoidable, but it weighs on us.
Yeah, episode 9, we talked about that.
Episode 9, we talked about it, yeah. And so this episode, we're going to talk about another one of those kind of nagging little stresses. And the more you know, the more successful you can be. And so it's this one, making a doctor's appointment. Now, we have a lot of young adults that are related to us. And I can tell you that every one of them absolutely will do everything in their power to avoid making a doctor's appointment.
Have we ever told our Death by Adulting audience exactly how many children we have?
Probably, but we should remind them.
Yes, we have
8 children.
8 children.
4 boys, 4 girls.
Right? And one kind of quasi-semi-adopted-ish one, so
Yes,
we count
so
9.
9, yeah.
One real adopted one out of the 8. I'm answering all your questions right now. You're going, is that same wife? Yes,
Yeah,
same wife.
yeah.
All birth children? Do you have any twins in there? Okay, those are all the answers. No,
Yes.
7 birth children. The baby
Yes.
machine broke on number 7, and then we adopted number 8. That answers the question. Wasn't 7 enough? Apparently not.
Apparently not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
talk about the adopted one in another episode.
Yes, yeah. So so they hate making doctor's appointments. In fact, they will not go to the doctor before they'll make a doctor's appointment, or they'll ask me to do it. And you know what? I'm at the age and they're at the age that my answer is no.
Right.
No.
So, talking about adulting,
Yes.
how many, well, all of them at some point when they were off on their own in their adult world, and had told us a gazillion times, Mom, Dad, I'm an adult.
Yeah,
You have to treat me
I
like
got
an
it.
adult now.
I got
then
it.
they would call you up and they'd say, can you make a doctor's appointment for me?
I think I have strep.
No.
Uh-huh. You should go to the doctor.
Yep.
How do I make an appointment?
All right.
All right.
So let's say you're in that place in life and you're thinking, I've never really made my own doctor's appointment.
Yes.
How do you do it?
Yeah. So just get yourself prepared. Okay. It's not that hard. And you might not even have to make a phone call anymore. My last doctor appointment, I just did it all online. So you didn't have to talk to a person. But there are some things you need to know to make a doctor's appointment. Number 1 is this: your birth date. Right? The year and the day
You might want to
you
write
were
this
born.
down.
Yeah,
Okay.
make your list, okay?
Number on your birthday.
Second is this: your symptoms. You can't just say, I'm sick. You have to be specific. I have a sore throat. My ears are clogged. Whatever it is, you have to know your symptoms. Third is this: you need to know your insurance company and your group number. It's on your card. If you don't have a card, ask your mom or dad for a picture if you're still on their insurance. But you have to know your insurance company and your group number. Now, didn't you have something you wanted to say about this?
Well, sure. Take a picture of all these things and put them on your phone, which you carry with you all the time, and make a separate file for all like your important documents. Take a picture of the front and the back of your driver's license. If you've got a passport, take a picture of your passport. If you've got a birth certificate, take a picture of that. All of the license plates on your cars. Most of us only have one or two, but take a picture of that license plate, because sometime you're going to be at the DMV and they're going to say, "What's your?" And you go, "I don't know."
Yeah, register
Right? The group card, the number off the insurance card, all of those things should all be kept in one place, and you can build a separate album in your photo stash.
Yeah, and then when you have them, you'll feel prepared. The next thing is this: you need to know what pharmacy they should call your medicine into. When they say to you, "Where should I send your prescriptions?" you need to know where it is, what the address probably, so that you're prepared with an answer. And then finally, you need to know if your vaccinations are up to date. So it's not hard. You just have to be prepared, right?
And all that stuff is available somewhere online, especially the vaccination one, or how many shots you got over the years.
Yep.
And it's okay. There's no crime or no foul to ask mom or dad to help you with that, because they're the ones that kind of took care of that over the years. But once you become an adult, now you kind of take over that stuff, so you don't have to call them every time and go, "Did I get diphtheria shot? Did I get smallpox vaccine?"
Yeah.
You ought to know that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So there you go. Now you know how to make a phone call from episode 9 and to make a doctor's appointment from episode 10.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've made a lot of doctor's appointments over the years. So have you.
And the older you get, the more you make.
Right. But good mom and dad. Mom and dad did that stuff for us when we were little.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I can't remember the transition or the handoff to all of that, but here we go.
Yes.
Megan just gave you how to do that. So how would you sum that up if you were to say that, just in like a bullet point?
So find a way to be prepared. And I think the in your photo album in your phone is a great way. But write down these things that you need to know when you make a doctor's appointment. It'll make it go much more smoothly, and it'll take away some of that anxiety you have about making the appointment. So know your birth date, know your symptoms, know your insurance company and the group number, know your pharmacy, and make sure you know that your vaccinations are up to date.
Perfect. Right. Great advice.
All right. So last episode 9, we talked about unavoidable stress, things that are kind of common to all of us, right? Politics and finances and the economy,
family
all those
get-togethers,
all those types of things.
Right.
This week we want to talk about avoidable stresses, things that quite honestly we muddle into sometimes. Sometimes we fall into the same trap of stress over and over again because of our poor decision-making processes. But we want to talk about some of those and some of the solutions to them as we go along, because these stresses, you got nobody to blame for them but yourself, right?
Correct. Things that you could avoid, but you don't.
Right.
Because
so Steve,
we get...
Oh, I was going to say, do you want to get us started on this?
Yeah, avoidable stresses. And the first one that comes to mind for me is meddling in either somebody else's business. The expression is you stuck your nose in somebody else's tent. All right, you got involved in somebody else's business. Maybe it's even on social media. You felt compelled to comment or send somebody a message or to have something to say in this long thread of, whatever. Heaven forbid that you're a troll in somebody else's life. But meddling in general is something that it's avoidable stress. And you wonder why the stress level in your life is ratcheted up so much. Well, some of it kind of is at your own hand. So again, you can avoid making personal comments or going on social media and having to have something to say. Not everybody, you don't have to have something to say.
Yeah.
Even if you don't like what's being done, you don't have to weigh in on it. All right. Number 2 is this: limit social media. And, that's just kind of a general catch-all for lowering the stress level in your life. Social media is so invasive in our lives that we don't even realize it. If you don't have the function turned on your phone, this is going to seem counterintuitive, that tells you how much time you spend on your phone, you ought to spend a little bit of time on your phone turning that on.
Yeah, it's really eye-opening.
It's very convicting and very revealing how much time you spend on it. Or if you go to, moms that have children and they're tired at the end of the day, the only time they get online is at 10 o'clock at night. And so they go to Facebook or they go to Instagram or whatever, and they go to these different places. And you look up and it's 2:30 in the morning. 4.5 hours went by and you had no idea how much time went by. It just flies.
Yeah. So in episode 9, we talked about the what the heck. That notification about screen time is one of the what the hecks for me, because I'm offended when it says my screen time is up and I know it was an audiobook, because I'm like, I'm enlarging my mind. How dare you? Or maps. If I went somewhere and I had to use maps for a couple hours, I'm like, how dare you?
So that's a good point. So the fair and lovely Mrs. Scheibner has pointed out something. If you listen to an audiobook or you use maps to get someplace, it's going to say that your screen time was through the roof. Well, you can factor those things out, but don't factor too much out.
Tell it no.
Tell it no. All right, we'll hear the fair and lovely and somewhere else in the house going, "What the heck?" And you go, everybody runs in. What's wrong, Mom?
So offended.
Oh, he said I spent 23 hours a day on social media. Yeah, limiting social media. And having said that, don't keep that phone on by your bed at night.
No.
Turn it off. Put the do not disturb on. If you're waking up periodically during the night, turn that. Taking texts and sending texts, you're not getting good sleep at all.
Right.
There's no run. You're stressed out. Stay in your lane, bro. That's the next one. It's just stay in your lane. That's the modern application of don't stick your nose in somebody else's tent. You know, maybe it's none of your business. And boy, it took me a lot of years to realize that just was none of my business. Every day has enough stress of its own.
Yep.
Enough troubles of its own. I don't need to go looking for somebody else's trouble. Just stay in your lane.
One of our
sometimes.
grandsons says it so beautifully. He says, "That's none of my business."
Yeah, it's none of your business, right? None of my business and none of your business.
Yeah.
Right? And so just kind of stay in your lane. 1 Thessalonians 4:11, great New Testament verse, says, "Make it your ambition to lead a quiet life, mind your own business, and work with your hands." And again, that goes back to go out and touch something real.
Yeah.
Go out and hug a tree if you want to, or touch the grass, or go take a hike.
Yeah, walk your dog.
Right, go swat some flies. You know, whatever. Go out and do something real out in nature and get away from the screen and the other things that are kind of stressing you out.
Now, you know what? One of the things I would encourage you, if you're married, if you're dating, ask your partner, am I characterized by "did you know" kind of comments? Like if they say to you, "Yeah, you're always gossiping about someone," or sharing someone else's business, or you get all wound up about this happening to someone else, sometimes they're a better barometer of how much you're
absolutely.
meddling than you are yourself.
Yeah, listen to yourself say, you know, how many times did you say, oh, political figure A said this?
Yeah.
Political figure B didn't say that. You know,
Yeah.
and you're constantly going through that sort of mentality. It's
Yeah,
gonna stress you out.
if you're not a solution person, you shouldn't be a talk about it person.
Like we said in episode 9, will it make a difference in 100 years?
Right.
Probably not.
Right. All right, on to the next avoidable stress, overcrowded schedules. You need to own your schedule, not let your schedule own you, which means that you have to learn how to say purposeful no's. It's okay to say no. In fact, sometimes it's preferable to say no. I've told young moms this a lot. I never regretted saying no to something. If I thought through something and I said, no, that's not something we're going to participate in, I never lost a minute's sleep over it. But there were a lot of times that I said yes to things that became a burden, because I didn't slow down and think, is this something I should be involved in? There's another great Bible verse for this. 1 Corinthians 10:23 says, everything is permissible, but not all things are profitable. So, you know,
great.
I could do this thing. I could add it to my schedule. But should I add it to my schedule? And again, ask your husband, ask your wife, ask your boyfriend, ask your girlfriend, ask your roommate. Does my schedule seem too full? Mm-hmm. Because if you don't have space in your schedule, for one, God will orchestrate an emergency.
Yeah.
Right? To mess the schedule up, because time is not God. God is God.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yeah.
'Cause that's brilliant. The way you said that, it's almost like should have it printed on a T-shirt. You know, it's very succinct and to the point. And I think I taught a leadership class for years, and one of the things I taught was, what I call the new virtue these days. And the new virtue is this: it's not whether you should or shouldn't do something; it's whether you can or can't do something. Is it legal? Will I get away with it? Will I get caught? And if I do get caught, how much trouble will I get into, and how much will it cost me to get out of that trouble? Almost every decision that's made on the political realm and every other level you can think of is the can and can't.
Yeah.
But really, the most satisfying decisions in life are the should and shouldn't questions of life. They have a moral component to them. And when you make decisions on that moral level with should and shouldn't, All things are permissible, but not all things are profitable. And that little tidbit right there, that little great Bible verse, will help you make some of the most satisfying, life-changing decisions you'll ever make. Big ones, medium ones, small ones.
Yeah, and we joke about it. Like, we joke about our kids, we joke about ourselves having FOMO, which is fear of missing out, which sounds funny, but really it's a problem. That fear of missing out doesn't give us any time for rest or peace or meditation, talking to the Lord. We fill our schedules so full that all we do is run here
We
and
never
there.
get re-energized at all. You're kind of always running on empty, to
Yeah.
quote Jackson Brown.
Right, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Oh, I have the next one
do.
too. The next avoidable stress is a lack of routine and order. And those aren't dirty words. I promise they're not dirty words. And I'm not talking about clock routine like, oh, 12:15 I do this, 12:22 I do this, 12:14. You know, that's not what I'm talking about. But a regular routine to your life, order to your day, order to your home. A lack of order causes chaotic thinking. When there's too much clutter, when your schedule is too full, when there's too many people around all the time, that type of chaos causes anxiety and stress. And so, do you have order and routine? Don't press the snooze button. That's a simple discipline.
Right.
A simple discipline, because you press the snooze button, you never really fall back asleep. You lay there thinking, oh, it's going to go off any minute, right? So just get up when your alarm goes off, start your day. Look at your home, look at your life. Are they cluttered? Nobody else can fix that for you, but you can.
Right.
That's an avoidable stress.
It is. The next, for me, avoidable stress is it's too people-y out there. It's too people-y out there. And there's times where, now it depends on whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. Extroverts tend to get energized by people-y situations. They don't mind going into a room and shaking hands with everybody. A good politician is probably going to be an extrovert. An introvert gets drained by that. They can do it, but they don't like it.
Yeah.
They sit in the car outside and they go, I probably shouldn't go in. You know, they don't really want me in there. And then they think about turning around and going back, right? If you're that person, then you're an introvert, and the people-y thing is going to drain you. So you got to know a little bit of who you are. But there's times in life to kind of evaluate how many people are going to be at this thing. And you know, I'm an airline pilot, and so in the summer, everybody comes out to travel. I was just in the airport yesterday, and I was dodging people left and right, and I was tired. I had gotten up at midnight to drive to work, to fly all the way from North Carolina to Los Angeles. I waited around for 3 hours for my return flight. I flew all the way back.
Yeah.
I get off the airplane. I'm just dog tired, and then it's people-y out there. So did it cause stress? I could feel my whole back and my shoulders just tensing up. And I thought, I need to go find a hot tub. I need to go home and get in a hot tub or something like that, or take a good hot shower and just kind of try to wash off the stress from my life. So too people-y, you don't have to go to Disney in August. Hey,
Can we tell them what my new license plate's going to say?
What's it going to say?
Yeah, it's going to say EWWPPL. Ooh, people.
Megan is an introvert. If you didn't know that.
Yes.
She doesn't get energized by those things, but she does a good job with them, as you all know. All right. Just because you can get together, should you? Just because somebody says, hey, we're going out tonight, or your friends are all going out for the fifth night in a row, and just because you can, let's say you don't have anything else scheduled, should you? Again, that's that moral decision of I can or can't or should or shouldn't. You ought to be making the decisions on that should or shouldn't thing.
And it's okay to do that.
It's okay.
It's okay. In fact, wisdom says you have to take care of yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally, or
Right.
spiritually. So,
And you know what? If your friends put pressure on you, like, well, what are you doing? You're just going to sit around your thing. And you're just going to listen to an audiobook or watch TV tonight. You go, uh-huh. Yeah, there ought to be at least one night a week. This is universal. Whether you're single, you're married, you have children, or your children are grown and gone. There ought to be at least one night a week, and probably more, where you look at each other or you look at yourself in the mirror and you go, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do tonight. I don't have anything planned. Great. That's awesome. Read a book. Watch the movie you've been wanting to watch. Have a little quiet time. Meditate for a little bit. You don't have to have every minute planned. Those times are extremely re-energizing and extremely refreshing. You ought to have at least I would think a couple of nights a week where you don't have anything planned.
Yeah. Can I throw in a quick parenting tip?
Yeah.
Because this is true for our kids as well. And first of all, kids should take naps. But when they're past that nap age, especially those of you who have many children, it's really wise to separate them for a good hour every afternoon from each other, because they need to get refueled and be unpeopled for a little bit. It will help them play better. It will help them get along better. It'll help you get along better with your children. But everybody does need that break during the day where we're not talking to anyone else. We're not touching anyone else. We're just kind of bringing it all down.
Well, when the kids were little and of nap age, they always got a nap
They got
every
a nap.
afternoon. When they were beyond nap age, they had room time.
A rest hour.
Or rest
Yeah.
hour, right? That's what I remember. That's what
Yeah.
we called it, rest
Yeah.
hour. And they would have to read a book or play with their
But
toys.
they were
or,
separate from each other. There wasn't two kids in a room. We scattered them all over the
Yeah.
house because, as you know, we had a lot of them.
kids. And I
Yeah.
would say, if you're going to institute a rest hour, which is a great idea for you and the kids, don't put them in there with an iPad
Yeah,
or a
no,
phone.
no.
Right? Have them read a book. Have them use their imagination, some building blocks. Do something that's healthy for their brain, not
And
just
you'd be surprised,
entertainment.
some of them will just rest.
They'll just rest.
You know, again, the introverts in your house need that downtime, and if they don't ever get it, they're running behind all day.
So my next way to avoid avoidable stress is to ask the question: what fruit is coming from this relationship or this friendship? We've all had friends that are kind of a downer, and they're always negative, and you're thinking to yourself, every time I get together with this person, it's just nothing but negativity. And now I've become sour, I've become negative, or I find myself when I'm not with them being like them. And so there might not be a lot of fruit from that relationship. Maybe it's a very fruitful relationship. This person is encouraging you. They're lifting you up. They're inspiring you to do things. Spend more time with that
Right.
person, right? You need to evaluate the kind of I don't want you to be selfish about this, but not every dynamic is a good dynamic.
And we're not good for everyone either,
No.
right? It's not just that a friendship might not be good for me. There's people
Right.
that I'm probably not a good friendship for them because of what I bring out in them.
Well, I remember having this conversation with all of our kids, because most all of them are married at this point. And when they found their person, there was a series of people that they had dated before they finally found the person.
Yeah.
And we would, as they were getting older, we'd have those really serious conversations. Dad, Mom, what do you think? You know, and I'd just say, well, thanks for asking me and including me in on this. The feeling was they were kind of looking at that person and evaluating the relationship and going, I don't know, I just don't feel right about this, but she's a lovely girl or he's a terrific guy. And it was true. You can be with a lovely person.
Right.
But the two of you maybe are not meant to
And
be.
that's what we would say. We like you and we like him.
Him.
We don't like you
the
and
two
him.
of you together. It's not working.
Yeah.
You're not encouraging it. I was thinking the last person I dated before we met and got married was a lovely gal, and she loved the Lord, and we had great conversations, but it just wasn't right.
Right.
Nothing wrong with her, nothing wrong with me. We weren't meant to be.
Yeah.
Why? Because of the magic, the spark. All right. Is that a little bit of vomit in the back of your throat? Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So what fruit's coming from the friendship?
All right, good. That's really good.
Meg,
All
thoughts?
right. Let me kind of wrap up this segment with a really big one.
Mm-hmm.
And in episode 9, we said sometimes family is unavoidable stress. But you know what? Sometimes family is avoidable stress as well. And one of the things about being an adult is that you change the relationship, especially with your parents, where you're not in a relationship of obedience anymore. You're in a relationship of honoring them. And those look starkly different. And so if the relationship is you have to come for Thanksgiving because we're telling you you have to, no, you don't. Or if when you're with your siblings or your family, it's all negative, maybe you're the only Christian in the bunch, it's okay to make wise decisions about the time you're going to spend together. Right. Just because you're related doesn't mean you have to be involved in every family activity. Now, part of honoring is finding ways you can be involved, but you're not at the beck and call of other people. And as an adult, you have the freedom to say no. No, we're not going to come to that. That's not something our family wants to be involved in. That's not something I want to be involved in. Whatever it is, you can respectfully and in a very honoring way say no.
Yeah, I agree. And be careful about giving your 2 cents worth at that point. But, you don't, sometimes you don't have to give a whole bunch of explanation with that.
It is kind of like the very first one you said with the meddling. Just because people are family doesn't mean you get to meddle in their business either. So, maybe you are the only Christian in your family, or you feel like you're maybe a little more sanctified Christian than the rest of the family. You need to be asked into that conversation. You can't invite yourself in and say, hey, let me tell you what I think. Right?
Yes. But here's what I think right now. If you've made it this far in the video, do us a favor. You like what you're seeing. Just go down below and click that little like, that little thumbs up thing. Click the like. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the Character Health channel. And it is free. Doesn't cost you anything. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of this great content. And again, you don't have to watch the next episode, but you'll know when it's out, which is nice stuff. And then finally, share it. Share it on social media. Share it with your friends. Let them know that you enjoyed it and see what their thoughts are on it. Like, subscribe, and share. You'll be doing us a huge favor.
All right. Perfect. Well, we're on to a new segment. Do you want to introduce this?
I do, because I want to write a book on this segment, and this is probably book research for us. But everything I needed to know in life, I learned from The Princess Bride. All right, that old movie that probably your parents watched, but you can still rent it or download it.
Within a dweem.
Yes, and the most quotable movie I think of all time is The Princess Bride.
Do you remember how we found The Princess Bride?
I do. This is back in the day. I hate to do this to you, but
we had one baby.
You're gonna have to endure one boomer story. But we had little kids, and that was back when Blockbuster was around, and you had to go to the video store and get a VHS tape. And we wanted to watch Cinderella with the kids, and we went and we got the Cinderella box, and you rented it for 3 days at a time. 3 days, right? You get the 3-day rental. And we brought it home. We opened it up, and it was a princess movie, but it wasn't Cinderella.
Little did we know.
It was The Princess Bride. Like, what is this? And so,
But it was snowing.
It was snowing. We couldn't take it back. So we stuck it in the machine, and we watched it. Did we watch it twice that first night?
We might have.
We might have. We watched it
we were like
5 times over the next 3 days.
What?
We kept watching it. We re-rented it, watched it for like 8 days in a row.
We invited friends over.
This is the best movie ever.
Honestly, it became our barometer.
Yes.
If we invited friends over and they didn't like it, we cut them off.
Yeah, we cut them off. You're not our friend. If you don't like The Princess Bride,
I unfriend you.
I unfriend you. Everything I needed to know in life, I learned from The Princess Bride.
And we shared one last week, but here's one for this week.
The one this week is when Prince Humperdinck says, "Try ruling the world someday." That's a great line.
It is a great line.
Try ruling the world someday. And how do you avoid stresses that you can avoid? Well, don't try to rule the world someday. Right? Again, every day has enough stress of its own. Pay attention to your own issues and don't try to solve everybody else's problem. The person who rules the world, whoever that is, I guess can take on all of those stresses all at once. Probably not you, and probably not me. Right. So that the notion of try ruling the world someday was quoted in that movie of, boy, life is stressful.
Yeah, I'm exhausted.
You think you got it bad, I'm ruling the world. And that also goes to the interpersonal relationship side of trying to one up the other person all the time, right? Get together with a group of middle school boys.
Yeah.
Right? They're always trying to one up each other on, whatever the worst thing is. Try ruling the world someday. So try ruling the world someday. And here's kind of the thought on that. There are some things in life that I think are too heavy to carry. It depends on where you are in life, but they're too heavy. They weren't meant to be carried by you or anybody else for that matter. World events, politics, a lot of those things. Do I need to get involved in politics? Yeah. Do I have an opinion? Absolutely. Do I do my part? Sure. Do I vote? Absolutely. But do I carry that stuff around all the time and let it just weigh me down and kind of debilitate me? No, they're too heavy to carry. Because many times they're just problem oriented and not solution oriented.
Right.
I'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
All right, they're gossipy as well. If you carry around gossip, other people come up to you and you've got that friend or friends. They go, oh, "Can I tell you about so and so? Did you hear the thing?" Oh, and they want to give you and then you lean in and everybody's talking about somebody else. Many times, talk radio or whatever you've got set up in your YouTube feed is very much like that. Hopefully, this show is not gossipy. That's part of our aim here, is to not, let's tell you about the latest political intrigue that happened today. There's thousands of people doing that. That's fine. We're trying to be solution oriented here, not problem oriented. And then media that creates problems, but they don't have any solutions. There's people that's what they do. They've got 1 million, 2 million, 5 million subscribers. All they do is create problems, not solutions. You might want to think about how much time you spend in those kind of places. Don't take on the things that aren't yours to carry.
Even
That's
with
how I
our
would put it.
friends, I can't fix a friend who has cancer. I can't fix that problem
Right.
for them. I can pray for them. I can help them carry their load, but I can't carry it for
I
them.
can listen to them. I
Yep.
can serve them. I can do things for them, but I can't
Yeah,
carry that.
right.
I can't carry that. It's not yours to carry. So don't take on things that aren't yours to carry. Not my monkey, not my circus. That might be another segment we do some other time.
Yeah,
but
that
you know what? There's a lot of
applies
things
so
that,
much.
that fall into the category of it. Hey, guess what? You know what, sir? That's not my monkey, and that's not my circus.
All right, try
Hand it back.
ruling the world someday.
Try ruling the world someday. All right. Now it's time for Meg's boss adulting tip of the day. Meg.
All right, here we go. So, the adults that you really want to be around, the adults that you like to be around, are adults who continue learning. Think about it. People who have varied interests, they're always exploring new things, they're discovering new things, they're reading about new things. And so, my adult boss tip of the day is find something new to learn about. Become an expert on something. I just said to Steve recently, I said, you know what? I want to start to study World War II because I know a lot about World War II I had a history minor in college, but man, there's so much more to know. And so make your mind grow. The adults who, and this is going to be a little pointed, but just sit around playing video games or just sit around on social media have nothing to offer anyone.
Yeah.
They are just those people who meddle in other people's business, or with the gaming thing, it's they have nothing of value to offer. So be a learner, be a lifelong learner, but start today.
Yeah. And that's a great boss adult tip of the day. Can I give you my boss adult tip that go with yours? If you want to learn about World War II, there's and this, I don't get anything back for this, but Mark Felton Productions.
Oh, yeah.
Just go to YouTube and type in Mark Felton with an F, Mark Felton Productions. He's got a couple million subscribers. Subscribe, hit the notification bell on his channel because he puts out videos probably 3 or 4 times a week. They're excellent. They're all about World War II, World War I, some sort of interesting issue that came up with it, and he's extremely well researched.
Yeah.
And this is not for nerds or for geeks. You don't have to know anything about that, and he's going to educate you, and it's very, very good stuff.
Yeah, I would call him an evidence archaeologist. So
Yes.
he's not digging in the ground, but he's digging in the archives of things that have gone on.
And he does
is
it in a
fascinating.
really, really interesting way.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Excellent. Okay, very good. So it's time to wrap up
Okay.
for episode 10. Let me tease you with this, though. Meg, next time, you still got stresses in your life, all right? We have got answers, and we're going to come back next time. We're going to wrap up this whole series on stress with some real concrete answers for the issues that you're dealing with.
All right, Steve, I can't wait. Well, this has been Death by Adulting, and I'm your host, Megan Scheibner. Remember, when it comes to adulting, what doesn't kill you just makes you tired.
I wish